There are only a couple things that are essential to the true gamer. 1. Water. 2. I don't know, I guess sweatpants. 3. Resident Evil 4.
Impressive.
Everyone loves Resident Evil 4. Women, children, the Pope, Republicans, and Democrats can reach across the aisle and agree Resident Evil 4 is one of the greatest games of all time. It's the closest thing we know to God. We look at Liam Kennedy with his like hot ass hair, just off to the side, wearing a leather jacket. Even I'm swooning. Professor, edit that out. Professor does my video editing. Capcom has outsourced the last Resident Evil 3. They outsourced it to a company called M2. Now, M2 was co-founded by a bunch of developers that left from Platinum Games. So yeah, M2 was founded by Tetsuya Minami, who was a game developer from Platinum Games. And he said, hey, I'm creating the studio M2. Capcom, would you like us to remake Resident Evil 3? You have this engine, we can create the assets. However, they took a little bit too much of the creative liberties, I guess, when they were doing this in this process. And that's kind of why people are like, hey, this isn't as cool as it would have been. And there's all kinds of other games, I think, too, that Resident Evil fans in particular were looking for, saying, hey, where is my Resident Evil Outbreak? Where is my Code Veronica? Is that just going to be skipped over for Resident Evil 4? And, you know, like, Resident Evil 1 got an excellent remake on the GameCube. That game is sick. Wicked sick. With flames on it. There's Resident Evil 2. Wicked sick with flames on it. And, like, it's extreme with, like, at least 2 X's. Maybe, like, 3 or 4. Not trying to imply pornographic imagery here. I'm just saying that's how sick and awesome it is. Wicked sick. Resident Evil 3 was like lukewarm. Like, hey, it's still Resident Evil. I've still gotten way more than I could have ever expected. It's kind of like a lottery when you get games from Capcom. You're like, hey, is this going to be like an average game? Is this going to be mailed in, or is it going to be amazing? And for like the last 3 or 4 years at this point, Capcom's been really just nailing it and just crushing it. Resident Evil 7 came out in January 2017, I believe, and that game was so good. Resident Evil 4, everyone knows how important it is, and it looks like Capcom might be shifting directions away from M2 and their rules and having more of it done in-house by a development team called Capcom Division 1. So this article over here on videogameschronicle.com, as you can see, I'm just a person simply, I should be trusted based off the fact that I'm wearing this t-shirt about Raccoon City, and there was a TV behind me indicating that I actually I visited that place. That's why it's on my TV, and I'm an official source. So this article here says Capcom's in development Resident Evil 4 remake has seen a major change of leadership due to disagreements over its directions, according to sources with knowledge of the project. These people also reported last year that this game was actually being developed. So sources here indicate that following a key project review last year, M2's role on Resident Evil 4 remake would be significantly reduced. Capcom's Division 1, the internal Capcom dev team that's responsible for Resident Evil and DMC games, has now been brought into the RE4 project. M2's role, they were going to have the game, but when they were doing this review, they wanted to stick more faithfully to the actual Resident Evil 4 storyline, the template, the way the game was originally done, because of all the backlash that they got from Resident Evil 3 and the remake that they did last year. And that pretty much was just because it didn't include a lot of portions of the original PlayStation game. Capcom's production team, however, said it'd prefer a direction in which it would see RE4's remake inspired by the original, but with its own unique take on features, story elements, and environments not necessarily confined to the blueprint of the original, similar to Resident Evil 2's use of Mr. X. So it's kind of like the inverse, right, of what I was just saying, where they were like, oh, for Resident Evil 3, let's make it a little bit different when they were outsourcing it, and then everyone got pissed at them, and they said, okay, well, never mind, we shouldn't do that. Let's go back and actually try to make it a little bit different. And then Capcom said, we'd like to see a direction where RE4's remake is inspired, but it has a unique take on things. And with this, sources say that the Resident Evil 4 remake would now be rebooted, which could see it delayed till at least 2023, which I guess it probably should be longer. I mean, 2023 seems like it's far away, now, and I'm checking my calendar, and it's just the beginning of 2021, but if you're going to reboot a large part of Resident Evil 4, that game has so many small details in it. That sounds really hard to remake, like whole new areas and stuff, right? Capcom said that Resident Evil 2 and 3, they experienced similar kinds of overhauls during the development. And with Capcom Division 1 taking over, it seems like also it's kind of going back into the hands of the original creators of a lot of these people. You know, everyone needs Resident Evil 4 to survive. But if you think about it, it's like, what's the biggest, most, profitable thing for Capcom? And it's for sure Resident Evil 4. The original one might have sold a little bit on GameCube, but eventually just got ported to literally like every single thing you could imagine, except my Xbox. Thanks for that. That was annoying. I played through it twice last year. I did the professional run. I'm one of the best players in the world, I'm sure. This needs to have their time taken on it. And I'm really glad that they're saying, okay, hold up, let's review this. Okay, it's not really meeting the standard of what we were thinking about this game. And then we're going to take this into the people who are working on other stuff right now. Like, we're going to do some project management shifts. I hope we hear more about it soon. It became a lot less about the scary parts of it, right? And that's kind of like, if you look at all of the Resident Evil fandom, it's kind of like the dividing line where you have this linear path of survival horror, and then all of a sudden it shoots off, right, to this kind of like military shooter. And Resident Evil 5 was definitely, with the set pieces and Chris punching boulders with his bare hand. It kind of got Looney Tunes to the point of Resident Evil 6, and then Capcom also said after that it was successful and they could have kept going down this path of the military shooter, and they said, wait, let's refocus this. Let's refine the game that we want to make. What are we doing with this IP? Oh, let's make it good again. Let's make it scary again. Let's not make it ridiculous. And let's make Resident Evil 7, which is amazing. And I want to play through that game again because I played through it last year, and that game still looks gorgeous with the RE engine. And if they're able to use the RE engine to put in all the assets for Resident Evil 4 and make it look just chef's kiss with the I never said the word right, photogram scans. I hope that they really take their time on it and make it good, make it as good as possible, make it accessible for everyone who wants to try to learn this game. And a lot of the people would really get hung up, a lot of my friends, where they're like, I can only shoot when I'm standing still. Yes, I hope that it actually would be scarier personally, because that game has really good scary parts. There's like the parts with the regenerators. There's which was terrifying. There's parts where you're running, as Ashley, you're running from the knights in that one section. And you can't actually do anything. You just have to try to evade, or you don't have a weapon. And I'd love to see the scarier parts of that game come out again. And I feel like it could truly give me nightmares because of how scary Resident Evil 7 was. And Resident Evil Village looks terrifying. I mean, the demo, from everything I've seen, looks pretty scary, so I'm hoping to see something very interesting from Capcom. And yeah, take it from me, your official Capcom source, your official Inside Capcom boy. You can see I have a shirt. No one else can have shirts except for people who, they're just not credible if they don't have a shirt on that says Stars or Raccoon City Police Department or whatever, right? So you know that I'm very reliable. And please subscribe, like the video, and yeah, I'll keep reporting on this and other Capcom news that we hear about Resident Evil Village. I'm trying not to say Resident Evil 8 anymore, I need to stop. Anything else that Capcom's doing with Resident Evil, or just other interesting things, I'm here all the time. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. Smash it with tender love and affection. Just hug the button. This is Chris, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching, and yeah. Bye-bye.